Hey YouTube, it's Petey, and I just discovered Nucks is putting out the Trident. So we're just going to take a look at the Trident. It's an impressive modeling device. I'm guessing it's going to cost around $500. So we have 5 controls with 3 toggles for, it looks like this is a little bit difficult for me to see. Let me see if I can get a better image. I'm going to hit Control Plus here and see if that... So, oh, where did it go? It looks like bucket brigade delay, tape, digital, spring, spring, plate, and haul. Excuse me. There's level, decay, repeat, and time. And then we have chorus, tremolo, phaser, compression, filter, and pitch with another set, rate, depth, levels, and see if I can. There is full EQ, gain, level, bass, mid-range, treble, presence, parameter, press to edit. There is a dedicated to pull up the EQ, the cabinet, the amplifier, and the noise reduction. Then we have a dedicated boost or tuner. There are the ABCs, it looks like up and down, and then dedicated reverb, delay, modulation, and effects. So I'm guessing this would be in the more like $550 or $600 price range. Nucks is known for value, or they were. So this is perfect for live applications. Plenty of I/O, send and return effects loop, 2 balanced XLR outs to the PA, and a expression pedal. It's got a die-cast aluminum one-piece chassis, strong, solid, built for live performance. There's a USB-C port right above the 9-volt. It draws 500 milliamps of current. So we have these circuit board gut shots. We modeled everything, including the patch cables. So we have a shot of some amplifiers here. Oh, here's an interesting animation. Look at that. And then don't forget the bias and the level. This is a shot of their tone editing software. So when you crank that bias up, the tubes glow hotter and it gives you some extra gain. Now, on one of the last updates for their MG30, which Nucks started with the MG300, then the big brother MG30, then the in-betweener MG400, and now the Trident. And on the last update for the MG30, this Lone Star popped up. It doesn't appear in the software, but hardware, if you scroll through the list of amps, it's hiding in the end there. So this is a little unicorn, leprechaun kind of, and it's neat that they show that image. Hey, there's the Lone Star. You remember that? Well, now it actually shows up in the software like it should. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Nucks. I purchased, I think I own 5 Nucks products. 4 of them are still going, and the one that died was all my fault. I did something very bad. I don't remember how I blew it up, but I smoked their amp force, which was kind of a dud pedal. I own 5 Nuckses, and one of them's a dud. The other 4 are fantastic. I've got the amp force and the time force, which are stereo in, stereo out. They're a little bit larger. They got a color display. They're really old. We're talking like 2010, 2012, and the one model's Echo Box has got a one model's modulation effects, and they're fantastic quality. I think I paid $55. My MG 300 I paid 110 for. Got it used. I paid $255 for my MG 30, which I still use and I absolutely love it. So it's a powerful IR loader. It includes 27 cabinet impulse responses at the 1024 sample resolution. There's 4 microphones and you have 32 additional slots. So this is all the same as the MG30. This is the same stuff. With the exception of, I'm talking about internally, the software, the models. On the outside, they've listened to what people were complaining about in the Facebook Nucks fan page. This is where they have people, it's unofficial, but they have people in there that work for Nucks that are moderating it, that make up a list of what people are crying about. And then they bring that to their design team and they release this new thing and then everyone is happy. Except for me, because I was already happy. I got the MG30 and I figured out how to program it. I made a big collection of impulse responses and figured out how to use the software and make my own custom patches and use the control, use the expression pedal to achieve everything I need to achieve. It's a small, compact package and it only draws 400 milliamp of current, which is really important to me because I play remote. I use battery packs. So I'm absolutely thrilled. And I paid $255 for the MG30 and it's doing everything I want it to do, although it is a little limited. And I gotta say that not in its tone. The tone is exceptional. Tone is mind-blowingly great, the best guitar tone I ever had in my life. It's a little bit light on certain things like the modern high gain stuff. One of the amp models is a complete dud. That is the Vivo or the 5150. It's not pictured here. But this dual rectifier is killer. Killer. And the Uber is good. The VH4 isn't bad either. But as you can see, there's no shortage of like Marshall stuff. A high watt, not really a fan of. There's some in-between stuff, crunchy. This Dr. Z Mass 38 is awesome. Not a fan of this mess. It's decent. But oh, the JC120 is out of this world. This is a great broken up, kind of dirty tube amp sound. Not a fan of the Bassman, but the Super Reverb and the matchless are excellent. The Vox AC30 and the Vox AC15 are outstanding. Princeton's really good. Tweedy's okay. Love the Deluxe Reverb, but the Super Reverb is the Super and the Twin are the ones I really like. So they did a really good job with the amp modeling, and then the IRs are all really good too. But where it gets great is loading up your own custom IRs. And I got to say, I only like the 57. Why is that? So a lot of people in the online community have been modifying and trying to use little MIDI, third-party MIDI, like really complicated stuff, just to be able to turn the individual stomp boxes on and off. And they listened, and so this is what this is all about. It's got a bunch of extra switching. There's another double switch box that comes with it. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah, there it is. That comes with the MG30. I'm not sure if it comes with this. Maybe you have to buy it extra. But they show it there, which is interesting. I would think that there's maybe jacks for that. But my point being, this looks like really old news type of thing for me. So the software, is it different software? So it's obviously an interface as well, and it's got the Trident editor, which is different than the QuickTone software. It looks exactly the same, but perhaps it's different. This all looks really familiar to me as an MG30 user, but Here we have a shot of the aft of the unit. And this was another thing people were complaining about. I run like a 15-foot maximum cable to my mixer. So I run out of the regular outputs, the 1/4 inch outputs, and I don't have any issues with that. I do use my send and return. And I was trying some pedals in front of it, which is supposed to play with the impedance, so I'm not sure. I may very well try those in the effects loop, but I'm also interested in trying out an old Zoom G1ON. I've got this software that allows you to choose whatever effects you want from the entire or a good portion of the Zoom line. So theoretically, I could load it up with just all the really fantastic reverbs and delays and other effects, skip the amp modeling because it's not really, it's outdated. It doesn't sound that great. So where the MG30 falls short, and mind you, I'm not saying that to rip on Nucks. It was $250. You get what you pay for, and what I got was the best guitar tone I ever had in my life. The amp models sound incredible, and the effects sound really good too, but they're just a little limited, and they're also, I think they're mono. They're not stereo effects. So it is what it is, and I'm not sure if the effects loop is also mono, I would guess. But if I wanted to add more, I can by installing the old Zoom that's been cleaned out and just loaded up with the cream of the crop, really excellent effects. There's things that I can't do on the MG30, and like this is really nitpicking, but there's no dual delay. They give you something called the duo delay, and it's got a big knob for different options that you can't, it's just there as decoration. And what it is it's a delay with a reverb, the dual delay. It's not a dual delay. And I'm trying to get this. Hank Marvin was the guitar player from the Shadows, and he used 2 delay pedals. So when you hit his guitar, it made this dot 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 dot, like dot 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 dot. And he played that Apache song with that effect, and we were covering that, and I had such a time trying to mimic that with the Nucks MG30. And other people have begged and begged about getting more than one delay. A lot of people like to use dual delays, and it's one of the things where it comes up short. You know, like initially the MG300 only had one compressor, and it was way too compressy, like even on the lowest setting. They rectified that when the MG30 came out. There was 3 compressors. So it's in some ways it's a little bit limited because there's only so much memory to go around within the device. And Nucks obviously listened to what people were saying. My requests didn't fall on deaf ears. They got mad at me when I brought up my issue, which was that the freeze effect on the reverb, you can hold down a button and it will take whatever in the reverb and just lock that in and play it. That output on that, there's no way to control it, and it's like 12 dBs louder than the dry signal. So my point would be that if that's the case, if they're not going to give you the ability to control it, that they need to turn it down quite a bit. And they attacked me. The guy who, it's an unofficial Nucks forum, and the guy said, "You were rude. You asked the question rudely. Go away." And I've seen them, that was because I had taken a shot at the guy that they hired to be their USA representative. He did a live stream that was embarrassingly bad. And I had been watching him for a while, and I had asked him some questions, and he gave me some real snarky answers, and he also ignored me. But he gave me a really snarky answer that was it was repeating parts of the question I had asked. He did not give me a real answer. And I didn't appreciate the tone that he took with me. And I let him know. And later on, I brought it up I didn't know he was there listening, but I said, hey, Nucks, you hired this guy, and his live stream was a embarrassment. It was the most unprofessional thing I've ever seen on YouTube. And I called him a clown. And he came in and attacked me and claimed that he found my email and I had went off on him and he didn't do anything wrong and he answered my question. And the whole thing devolved into then if I ever said anything, I instantly got attacked by everyone in there. So it is what it is. It's my fault. But if you want to see something funny, the guy's called the Pedal Guy. And he'll go in and he'll just go on and on about how he hasn't been sleeping and he's drinking his coffee, and it'll be a lot of weird, like really weird stuff, weird voices that he does, and also incorrect information. A lot of stuff not working. None of the live stream, everything's broken. He'll go to show you something and it's all wrong and inoperative, and it's just one of those things that's so incredibly bad. It's almost like I had a hard time believing it was real. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, there's a language barrier thing with this company that's gone on for a long time. And if you look, like they refer you to their website, their YouTube channel, and I went there. So obviously they know that this guy that they hired is not capable of demoing this device. They're going to have somebody else do it. So I went over there, and the last video upload was 13 years ago. And the guitar tone was so bad on the video. And I had reached out to him several times and asked them to send me something. I said, let's work together. I can do an excellent job for you. So I guess it's a little bit of, I was snubbed at the ball because I had worked professionally doing demo work years ago. Around 2013, I worked for a company called Vic Audio. I worked for Debbie Ever. I worked for a few other people. And I know what I do may not appeal to everyone, but I certainly wouldn't come on and do something unbelievably embarrassing or a complete shit show. And that was what the guy was doing, even on edited videos. Meaning, if I do something and it's not good, I won't upload it. You know what I mean? I'll hit the mouse and I'll start over. And when you have people uploading stuff like that, it just goes to show that they don't have what it takes to do the job. If you're doing something and it's bad, you need to hit the mouse and start over. That's how it works. So I have a little bit of a personal thing with some of the people in the Nucks organization. I feel like everything that I brought up on the forum was right on. I had other people agree with me, but they chose to ignore me. And what they're doing, they came out with a whole nother product that really, I don't hear anyone talking about the MG400. And that was something that I questioned him about. When he first got hired, I said, are they going to put something else out? And he said no. And so then I bought the MG30, and then immediately the next day I started seeing pictures of the MG400, and I flipped out. I was like, this guy lied to me, And then later on I found out that the MG400 doesn't really compete with the MG30, but he didn't say that. He just said no. So if I would have known they were coming out with that, I wouldn't have bought my MG30. I would have waited just to be able to see what they were coming out with and made my choice. And I'm doing that now, and I'm telling you, this is absolutely ridiculous. This Trident, there's no way in hell I would buy it because I don't need any of this. I don't need any of this stuff that's on here. None of it looks appealing to me. And taking a look at the power requirements, it draws 500 milliamps, which tells me it's basically the same thing that I already own, which is the MG30. And when you're looking at it, all of the amp models are identical. It's all the same stuff, except they don't have the Vivo. which is the 5150, and they shot themselves in the foot with that because it's a horrible amp model. It's the worst one in the bunch, and that was one of the last ones that they released. The Nucks MG30 needs one more firmware update to fix the stuff that's broken in it still. Update the Vivo amp to get it to sound a little better. And I mean, they do have one good modern amp sound, and that's the dual rectifier. But the Soldano sounds like shit. And everyone knows it. No one uses that amp model. So my point is that if you're going to have really limited memory, why are you having amp models in it that don't perform or that no one's going to use? And there were several other things that I had brought up, but they really stopped listening to me. And it was a shame because I had done a massive tutorial that I typed out and for new people, and I found that I just ultimately I deleted it because I got sick of constantly being attacked when I was there, which was what was going on, because I called the pedal guy a clown, which he is. Go over there and watch him doing his Baby Yoda impersonation with his shirt on. He doesn't even know that it's Grogu, and it's just an embarrassment with that guy. He is a clown. And Nucks certainly does listen to the people in their forum, because everyone has been using MIDI mods to get functionality, which it's just not for me. And that's what this is all about. It does look exactly like the Cerebrus, just a lot more. And with that lot more, you're going to pay. It's going to be at least, I'm guessing, $550. It's going to be the street price for this, which is fine. You're getting an incredible feature set. It's really a lot to offer, even for that price point. But considering, to me, you're getting, 2-year-old or whatever it is, the sound of the unit, that it's the same thing. I mean, they're claiming it's updated. So don't quote me. Maybe it actually is. Maybe this isn't modeling hype, But when I read stuff like this, I have a very hard time. When I see the word analog and it's a digital multi-effector, when I see the PCB and it says MG30 on it, and that's something I already own, and it's something that I'm telling you is the same thing as what the guts of this is, and it's on the website, I'm pretty sure that that's what you're going to end up with, is an updated version. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying the MG30 is killer. It really is. It's a great sounding device for what you pay for it, but they needed to do one more firmware update, and it's a little bit lacking. When I bought something like this, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that all these stereo effects would be mono. That's, for me, that's the true magic, because I evolved into running a wet, dry, wet rig, and a huge part of that, I mean, I don't anymore, because it would be 3 mono channels. Thanks, Nucks. The long and the short of it is, I am extremely happy with my MG30, and the main thing for me was the price point. Now that they're listening to certain customers, they're choosing to ignore, and like, if you're not in there kissing everyone's ass, they won't listen to you. If you come out with the truth and say, hey, you did a good job fixing a couple of those things that you chose to fix, but there's some glaring omissions with it, like there isn't a dual delay. Your duo time delay that has a big knob on it that you can't turn, and that's the function knob to change what the second effect is. So you have one delay with a reverb. So it's not a duo delay. So when I bought it looking at that effect and thinking, oh, I'm going to have that duo time delay, and it's a dual delay, and then when I get it and I can't change the knob, and it's not a duo delay, it's a delay and a reverb, that stung. That really stung, When I emailed the pedal guy and asked him, are Nucks coming out with anything new? And he said no. And then the next day, the picture for the MG400 drops on the internet. That stung. When I called him out as being a clown because his first live stream that he did was a complete shit show, that it was 47 minutes before he actually said anything relating to the product he was supposed to demo. And when he turned on the camera, all of it failed. Nothing worked, okay? I brought that up and I called him a clown and I got personally attacked. And that next day I did my thread, hey, you did great updating the MG30 on this last, firmware update, but the freeze function on the reverbs is way too loud, and they attacked me. They said, you're rude. So they said, and we don't like the way you asked your question. So I put together a video demonstrating how when you engage the freeze, it's 12 to 19 dBs louder than the straight sound. It's unusable. That's an unusable effect. And to me, if there's only X amount of capacity of memory in this thing, and portions of that are filled up with, amp models I'll never use, effects that are broken, that don't work properly, that's going to sting. So owning a Nucks MG30 is a bittersweet experience for me because it could have been perfection. With one more firmware update, if they would have fixed the Vivo amp, fixed some of the other amp models that nobody's using because they don't sound good, if they would have fixed the freeze function, if they would have given us the option to use more than one effect block for a delay, or just open up the duo time, or give us a dual delay, and I'm sure there's more, but the way that the MG30 works, and we're going to take a look at it for a second here. Here's the MG30, here's the MG40. The MG30 is 300, the MG40 is 220. Look at them. Why you would spend 220 on this when you can get this for 300? And I paid 250. I paid 200, I think it was 235. It was at Toman. So it was like 255 I had to pay with the shipping to get it delivered. And this is 220. So the control gives you 3 scenes per patch. So I will name my each song as a patch. And if we're going from a clean tone to a dirty tone, which I only have one song in the set right now that does that, I will have 2 separate patches because there's no delay time in switching patches. So the control, I have mine set up. There's another foot switch with 2 buttons, and I don't even really need that. I don't use it. The control gives me 3 scenes. And in a scene, how I set it up, I can have, let's say I want to do a boost and then an echo for the solo. So for scene 1, which is activated by the control button, those effects are in there, but they're bypassed. Scene 2, I'll engage them. And then I'll tell it, hey, you know what? Scene 3, don't even bother. So when I pull up the patch, I hit the button, it's got the new song on it. Everything is set up, the booster's off, and you can have 3 boosters and put them anywhere in the chain that you want. You can also use the effects loop. You can put a cable in between it, and that's got a volume control on the input and the output, so you can use that as a booster. And you can use this volume block, which you can engage with the control and just turn that up or down. So you could have 4 boosts, and you could put those in 3 different slots to engage them. So yeah, and the boosts are also would be overdrives and distortions and fuzz boxes. So basically, I'm not that complicated of a guitar player, meaning I'll have like a flanger and I'll put it on kind of quietly. Like I had turn the regeneration down and I turn the mix down, and I'll have that on the chorus. So then when the chorus comes on, I'll hit that control. And then when the verse comes back up, I just hit the control and it shuts that off. And then let's say I want to adjust something. The expression pedal can go in and do wonders. You can do wonders with that expression pedal. Like I'll do a reverse echo. And when my heel is down, the mix knob on the delay is 100% dry. So then the solo comes up, I'll just toe down this, and that just turns up the mix 100%. And I've got my backwards solo. And then I pull it back down. So for me, this thing is compact. I plug it in with the USB-C, which is, it's kind of a tiny little jack. I wish they would have had a better connector for that. I don't really have connectivity issues except for with the shitty cable they gave me. And believe it or not, I got a braided cable from the dollar store. It's a Dollar Tree. It's like a green braided cable, and it costs $1.25, but it's never fallen out like the one that came with it. So for me, I don't tweak. I'm not at the gig like constantly like reaching down like, oh, I got to adjust my presence and turn the bass down. I'll do that with the mixing board. You know, I go out of there's 2 1/4-inch outputs, and I go out into I might go into a Moore Ocean machine, which is a real fancy delay, but lately I've just been going right into the mixing board. And if I need to tweak anything, I'll do that on the board. So for me, this is enough. The Nucks MG30 is perfect. It has fantastic quality, the best guitar tone I've ever had, and that's all found within the amp models. And it's enhanced by the impulse responses, which only read at a quality of 1024, which interestingly enough is the same as this. When you're looking at the amp models and the effects, they're identical. They're identical to the Trident. I noticed one difference, and that was on the effect send and return. They give you a 3-band EQ, and it had some of these internal EQs. You know what? It wasn't on the effect send. It was just a general EQ on the input. The mid-range had a sweepable frequency. This is the only difference I've been able to discern as far as the amp models. Now, I could be incorrect on this. Don't go quoting me. But it just seems suspicious. When the MG30 came out, they already had the MG300, its little brother. They said, hey, we've got 2 processors in the MG30. Now this one, they're saying the same thing. They're saying, oh, we updated it. It's all different. 2 processors, one for the amp modeling, one for the effects. But they're the same models. Now, it does use different software. Like my old MG300, it uses this QuickTone software, and that's what this uses. They do sound similar, but this is much harder to get a good sound out of it. Whereas the other one, it seemed like it was hard to get a bad sound out of it. It was really an amazing little device. But the MG30 does have more definition and better sounding amp models. So that very well may be the case with the Trident. I'm curious about the cost. I mean, if this comes out and it's $175, which it won't be. This will be $550. That's how much this will be. And it's just a sad day for me because Nucks, I was there participating on their forum, and they chose to ignore me and my suggestions. And everyone's been like MIDIing their stuff. That's like somebody put a screen on it. Somebody put a plexiglass screen, and for a week, like everybody had to put plexiglass on their screen. It's like one person did a MIDI and everyone else runs out to do a MIDI. And by a MIDI, I mean another device that when they hit these foot switches, it will turn on the individual effects on and off. Which that's what my control button does for me. But I think people want to be able to have a freedom in there. It's not so much like, oh, I think I'll turn my phaser on now. You know, oh, I think tonight I won't turn my phaser on. Where me, I want it the same every night. You know what I mean? Like I play to like click track. Like I play to backing tracks. So I demand a repeat performance. So this is perfect for me. While other guitar players are they love the sound. They love the idea that it's a cheap modeler, that the amp models sound great, but they want to have all these knobs and switches. So that's who this is for. I'm a weird case. But again, I don't see how you could argue against the point that I made earlier, where if we have limited space in the physical memory of the device, why do we have amp models that sound bad? Why do we have broken effects? Why do we have knobs that we can't turn? You know, there's a really important knob on the Nucks duo delay. Let me see if I can get an image. Duo time delay. This is a very, very important knob. And when I bought this, I was really excited because this delay was the one that I wanted to use. And when I got my MG30, this knob is stuck on verb. So you don't get a duo time dual delay engine. You get a mono time single delay engine with a fucking reverb. And I play a song which is called Apache by a group, The Shadows, Hank Marvin. And Hank Marvin's trademark guitar sound is 2 echo units. So when you hit the guitar, let's say you just clicked an A, it would go dot 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 dot, and you can only get that with a duo delay. And guess what? You can't get that effect with the Nucks MG30. You cannot do it. And this, like, this sound and this song, it's a standard. It's a guitar instrumental standard, and you can't do it. So there was a lot of stuff that I brought up to Nucks that they chose to ignore me. I spent about 4 hours writing everything I knew after I had it for 3 months, and I had set up multiple sets of patches for live performance. I set up, like, if you were going to buy this and you didn't know what you were doing, this would tell you everything you needed to know. And because of the fact that I don't do very well on social media, people tend to attack me, especially guitar players. I had been getting attacked in there, and I deleted it. I didn't make a big stink out of it. I just deleted it. And other people after that were like, "Hey, somebody needs to write a guide." So it's not my loss. You know what I mean? And to be quite honest, there's no other competition. Nobody else is making devices. As far as I know, there's a lot of cheaper multi-effects, but they don't really come quite up to snuff. And they tend to cost a little bit more. So this was like my only option at that time, and now since then a lot of other stuff, a lot of inexpensive stuff has come out. So it looks like I don't know, this might be the end of the road for me and Nucks. and it's a shame because I'm kind of that's the niche that I'm in, is I'm looking for something like this that performs. It's got everything I need, but nothing more. Um, at a price point that I can afford, and it doesn't look like that's where they're going. When I see something like this, I think those days are over. But who knows? Maybe they'll release, maybe in 2 years they'll come out with another budget model effector, that multi-effector that has updated technology and sounds even better, and doesn't have all of the issues. But that's not how it is now in these smaller companies. They put the stuff out and then they plan to, supposedly people expect them to fix stuff with firmware updates, and a lot of times it just doesn't happen. I had Moore tell me we have one guy, Moore. I bought an Ocean machine used for $130. They were really expensive when they came out, and it's got some serious flaws. It'll just all of a sudden start looping and spitting out the like I haven't stepped on the foot switch for 20 minutes and I'm playing a song and all of a sudden it's spitting out stuff that it's looped. So yeah, I contacted them, begging them for a firmware update because there was a few specific things that everybody that bought it wanted them to do. It was like a no-brainer. Like, you're this close to making this thing perfect. And you know what they said back to me? They said, we only have one person that does firmware updates, and right now he's working on the what was that thing called? The Moore, the Ampero. Moore. Oh. Yeah, it's the Ampero, isn't it? But I mean, what? The GE200. Yeah, hot tone, hot one. And while I got you guys here, if you're in this business of playing around with multi-effectors, this guy, you need to go and subscribe to this guy's channel. This guy, he goes through these things and tests, like, hey, let's hear the JCM of this thing versus the same thing on this thing that's the same price range. And you can hear, oh, they sound pretty good, but the other one is woofy. The other one is a little bit more clear sounding. And he goes through and then gives all the specs and statistics and specifications, and then he'll give his take on it. So there isn't anybody out there who could even touch this guy as far as doing rating videos, rating and head-to-head competing in these different, and that's how I came to own the Nucks stuff, was watching his channel, because as the clear winner, and he's an Italian guy, and I know he was really excited about the they were going to release an update, and it had the Soldano model in it, and then they did, and it bombed. It was a terrible sounding amp model. So yeah, someone else felt my pain. I got to tell you guys, I'm a huge fan of Nucks. I hate to come on here and just trash talk this company, but they've got some really bad people working for them. They do. I got to be honest. They've got some really ignorant people working for them, and it seems like, when, like, oh my goodness, there's a company out there that actually give you something good for your money, and then it goes south so fast. You find out that they're just lying to you. If I pay you more than $10, I expect you to tell me the truth. This isn't penny candy I'm buying from you here. If I'm throwing down a couple $100 at a crack, I don't need you lying to my face. That stings. All right, you guys. Sorry, this one went on a little long. There really is no way for me to do something like this and keep it in a concise 5 minute format. I would just ask you, if you're out there and you're a guitar player, to think about a couple things. Is it really a dick measuring contest? Does it have to be so competitive? Does it matter what the other guy's playing through? Or does it matter more what you are playing? Is it better to play in a cover band, or is it better to write your own music? Depends on where you're at. We all need to go through those phases in life, but we all need to grow. That's why I would encourage you to start making gear choices that push you in the direction of home recording. As personally, I know for a fact this is the most recording or rewarding or the apex of this hobby. It isn't going down to the Dog and Suds local bar and playing your Kiss covers or playing your, God forbid, Comfortably Numb solo. That's really not where it's at. If you're doing that and you're over 27 years old, I think you need to sit down and reevaluate your life. Me, I'm going to be healing up my shoulder surgery and my COVID infection and working towards recording some more music. In the meantime, if you're interested in that, I just recorded a demo. Did not use the Nucks MG30. I used my old Zoom, my $50 Zoom. So if you want to take a listen to that, the piece has not been mixed, but it's called 27 Club. You can find that on this channel. And I would love to get some feedback on that piece from you guys, specifically the mix. That's pretty much the only thing I care to be rated on, is my mixing. Don't tell me this would sound pretty good if you put some of my vocals on it, or you could sell this to some deaf people. I don't need to be told about how I could make money. That's a fucking insult. You're insulting me, thinking that I would care about trying to rake in a little pile of shekels off the tiny, 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 minute, embarrassingly ridiculous amount of amputated musical capability that I've been cursed with. That being said, most importantly, hug your pets. Have a happy new year, and peace.